Welcome, everybody, to the Terror Talk episode of N.P.C. podcast. We're going to be doing a little bit of discussion, a little bit of questioning of the players, interrogation. I don't know if anybody's ready. We're going to be exploring these people's ideas on their campaign and all of their wonderfully, tastefully done choices. We do have that NPC name for a reason. We're going to start on just a basic question, throwing this out to anybody that wants to answer it, and anybody can go after that. But just some basic thoughts on how the campaign ended.
Too soon.
Too soon.
We totally could have made that storyline go on for like another 3 episodes.
And by 3, you mean 30.
And who is answering this question?
What
is
that is a loaded question.
What is
Whoa.
your name?
Oh,
That's a loaded
If they
question,
don't
my
know us
guy.
by voice by now, then they don't deserve to listen. Kidding. I love all of our new listeners. Thank you for joining. Please like and subscribe and support us on Patreon.
and I sat here and I was like, oh shit, oh no, I don't know.
Leave all this in. Every last thing.
Who am I?
And I'm Eric.
I'm fucking crying. It's Steven.
Please introduce yourself like that from now on.
All the time.
Yep.
Only if I could. I have
That's
to-
your version of "and I'm Eric." It's Steven.
I'm gonna have to invoke Wally's voice. Do this.
Steven.
I'm sorry. I forgot the question.
We got Nick so good he turned into Mr. Krabs over there.
The question was how you thought the campaign ended.
Yeah, my name's Steven and that shit ended too soon. Give me a few minutes. I might be able to do it.
You're good. You're good. Do we want to take this around the table?
Sure.
basically?
Yeah.
Cameron.
Skip me. I'll come back.
Okay.
Gathering thoughts.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we just take this around the table? Everyone. Yes. Cameron. I don't want to go.
All right. And I'm Eric. I think the campaign ended. I think pacing wise, it ended at a good time. I think the ending was. I really wish it could have just been a happy ending. The shard made me a little bit sad because I just wanted them all to get out alive and happy, but that's not exactly what happens in the mists. So I think it was an appropriate ending. I think it was exactly what it needed to be for this particular setting. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
I can appreciate it, but I don't like it.
Exactly.
Hi everyone. I'm Colton. And no, I despite what my character went through in the ending, which if you're listening to this, I'm hoping that you listened to the previous episode where it did wrap up. And you're
But what
aware
if
that
they didn't?
yeah, if this is your first episode, boy, what a way to start.
What if they're starting here and they haven't seen
Spoilers.
any of it and you're about
Yeah.
to spoil everything?
Well, welcome to
Well,
NPC.
too bad. That's what you get for watching out of order. But Quinter obviously was not in a super good spot when everything ended, but I think that was honestly the ending that his story was going to tell. And so I felt like, and we were kind of talking about this like right after we ended, and kind of like we had like a 10-minute discussion afterwards. But one thing I noticed was that the people who had actually like worked through a lot of what they were going through ended with really high sanity checks, and the people that hadn't done that ended with really low ones. And I think if we ended like a little bit later, like we had pulled a little bit more, and people would have got like everyone would have been like a really high sanity check, I think it would have kind of taken away from that dichotomy. So I think it ended at a really good spot. I would really love to just like smack Barnabas's mom across the face one time, but I'll take what I got. So
I'm Biz.
Hobbies.
Y'all hate me. No, I obviously, being the one who narrated the whole fucking thing,
The one who made those
the one
decisions.
who made the decision. I knew from the beginning that I didn't want to do a true what's the word I'm looking for?
Happy ending.
No.
We're not bitter at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitterness. I don't know where this is coming from. I didn't want to do something cliche as an ending. Us being a horror comedy kind of group, knowing my horror tropes as well as I do, because I'm a psychopath.
You're welcome for forcing you to watch horror movies with me all the time.
Dude, I started watching those with you. I knew that one of the tropes that a lot of people just dislike right off the bat is the not happy ending. It's not necessarily a good ending. There's a lot left unresolved. It's usually the one where there's a lot of people sitting up yelling at the TV like, that's not fucking it, give me more.
That's exactly how I felt leaving the last session.
Mm-hmm.
Was 100% like, what the fuck do you mean that's the last part of it?
Yeah. That's how I planned on going the entire time. Was not your stereotypical happy, joy, or murder. It's the, did they actually get out?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they still there and they just have come to terms with their own sanity at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the session as a whole, it ended very well. It was very interesting, but it left a lot to reflect on for sure. A lot of like back thinking about, I don't know what's happening next. I really wish I could be there to watch it.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, I barely knew what happened before either. So. How many moons are there?
Which section?
Yeah, at which given time.
Oh
Yep.
God.
It was wild to watch all of y'all's characters go through each of the realizations that y'all were in, the whatever situation y'all ended up in, basically. You know, making things so unsure, especially, well, you've already mentioned a little bit, but Colton, your character being just distraught, just lost.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it did seem like a lot of characters got they got what they wanted to some degree, but it was bittersweet even for them, just like
Little monkey's paw.
yeah.
They got what they wanted, but at what cost?
Yep.
Very much. Yeah. Well, you
yeah,
have
to
another
circle
one.
back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like to
Who
talk
are you?
about like, oh, I'm Cameron. I play Barnabas Blackcroft.
And I'm Eric.
But to talk a little bit about the ending, I like to go back to like the whole third arc
Mm-hmm.
was like the whole Dementlu from
Yeah.
then on was so, I felt, well done.
Yeah.
Like I really liked the other two parts, but like there was so much like building up of what we had done before,
mm-hmm.
and then
Mhm.
trying to like weave in like a mystery if we had to figure out how to do different things and come up with solutions for it. That I felt like by the time we got to the end, like it was all coming together really strong.
Yeah.
To the point where like I had fan theories that were wildly wrong. And then
We're
other
definitely gonna
ones
touch
were
on
like
those.
Yeah.
other
yeah.
ones like right at the before the last session, it was like y'all wake up in a bed. And then we had to wait till the next session to figure it out. But I was immediately like, are we children?
Yo, that was the most like foundational rocking part for me. Like if it would have just been like, oh yeah, you all wake up and it was just a dream, like that would be one thing. But it was the fact of like we had not progressed past the point where the modified memory, quote unquote, took hold in the real world. And I think like that was the part that took it beyond like because you had mentioned like, oh, I don't want to do like a stereotypical ending. And I think there would be at least a couple people out there being like, oh, but you did the it's just a dream thing. Like, yeah, but there was so much more to it than that. It was just a dream because of that one little thing, right? And
I wouldn't call that a little thing. That was pretty massive.
it was a massive
I mean,
thing. Yeah.
Like, yes, we were all in a shared dream.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
also begs the question of if we're in a shared dream, who else is?
That's
is-
where I was
yeah.
getting hung
is
up
in
as
a
well.
shared dream.
Yeah.
Like, how much of their ego and psyche was affecting us as well?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I want to know, and what I'm also very curious about that I feel would be cool to explore lore wise.
Mhm.
Maybe it's one shots, one day biz.
Listen,
just throwing
you
that
guys
out
are
there.
level 10 for a reason.
I don't know what that means.
They,
Are we still level 10?
yeah. Well,
Oh.
so okay.
I am the most powerful child in the world.
Stab.
So
Except for
well, 'cause
Barnabas. Barnabas is a level 0.
Remember I explained that you because you went through so much in your psyche, you have that experience and that knowledge.
Yep.
So you are in fact level 10,
Mhm.
but you're now having to deal with going through childhood.
Yep.
With all this knowledge now.
I think that was one of the coolest things. I think we were talking about this afterwards, and you said like one of the big inspirations for that were like stories of people who are in comas
Yeah.
and will like live an entire separate existence. Like we're talking like 20, 30 years when they're out for 1 or 2, and they wake up and they still like that was real to
Yeah.
them. And then I'd have to go back to where they were and like still taking all of that information and trying to process through it. I think that was a really cool and interesting thing to like really leave us on like there is more to tell here, but this chapter is finished. I think that was the really interesting part of the ending was knowing there is more story, but it feeling like a conclusion.
Yeah.
Now we can come back and do a pup named Scooby Doo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another question that kind of probably relates again to Colton is
Thank you.
the various impacts that y'all's characters have went throughout this entire campaign. It's probably left some marks. Just what was the most impactful thing that y'all experienced?
Nose goes.
I'll go first. You said my name, so
Yeah,
I'll-
you
I'll
said
do it.
Colton, and I dissociated.
Same.
I was like, oh, I don't have to answer this
I
one.
do that too when someone says my name. So I am so sorry, listeners, but the most impactful thing for Quinner happened off camera. And
We're not even on camera. What
or
are you
like
talking about?
off recording. I was using it as
Off
a
the
metaphor.
record.
Off the record, yeah. And knowing this will probably like fill in a couple of gaps of like why does Quinter act the way he does in certain situations, right? So the arc directly before Dementlu, we were trying to find out where Barnabas's father was, and the way that we did that was we went into Barnabas's memory, right? So we had a very like Inception style of we were different figures from Barnabas's past, and like I was a parrot, and Steven's character was a lizard.
I was a little
And,
gecko.
Eric's character was a chess piece.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. And then Barnabas and Gertie, because they were actually there at that time in their memories, were their younger selves, right? That's actually how Gertie got introduced to the party at the time. And fast forwarding through a lot of stuff, Quinter decided to kind of test the bounds of what was possible in here and tried to jump to a different object because, spoilers, the parrot he was in kind of got its wings broken and its feathers plucked.
It's not spoilers.
Yeah,
it's
a
already
bunch of
over.
stuff. It's
And
already
not
happened.
recorded.
Yeah.
I have
It's the first time
infiltrated
they've
your
heard it.
brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And ended up jumping to Fox's pocket watch because Fox was in the memory because he was Barnabas's quote unquote granddad, kind of. But Fox was able to see us and perceive the actual versions of us. And so Quinter proceeded to go through a very rough psychological stuff with Fox. Really harrowing and traumatizing things. And so that kind of that, along with other things that had happened, really set him up to like not trusting what he saw, what was going on, and definitely not trusting Fox. So if you wondered why Quinter was so antagonistic to Fox every single time that he interacted with him, that would be why. But I think that was definitely like the most impactful thing long term for Quinter, because it set up the entire Act 3 stuff. It set up his conclusion of not knowing if all of this was real, because he's already been messed around in a dream before, so why would this be any different? And stuff like that.
Switching around, Biz, what do you think was the most impactful moment for the
Oh
campaign?
God.
Ooh.
I got two at two very different ends of the spectrum here. One of them is pre-recording the podcast. It is while they were at the carnival, and everyone had rolled a different number on a perception check.
Oh, God.
And there were a couple natural 20s and a couple natural 1s, and everyone who rolled perceived something very different.
Ooh.
So I can't remember which way went where, but on a few of them who rolled like a natural 20, they saw the circus carnival thing as an actual circus carnival, but they heard differently. And if they had rolled a natural 1, they saw the carnival circus as how it was, but heard actual happy carnival. And if you rolled middle tier, everything looked and sounded like the carnival. And I think that was the first real like bend of their minds of rolling a natural 20 is no longer a good thing.
For context, this was like session 3.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like we had just started, and then she dropped this atomic level bombshell on us of, hey, everything you know about this game, throw it out the window.
Yep.
Nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred.
Yeah, Barnabas went to go sleep. He went for a long rest and then woke up, and the carnival was decrepit as shit.
Yeah.
And nobody was around, but I could hear the circus.
Yeah. So it was one of those moments where I was trying to set the tone of, you guys are in a horror campaign. Everything that you like, your senses fucked. They're all fucked. I'm here to mess with you. You chose this. Congratulations.
Yep.
And then the other one is Fierce dying.
Yeah.
Fierce dying.
Yeah.
Because Fierce at this point had become a key party member. Like there are full-blown interactions with every single party member just about with Fierce. And it was one of those things, as I was narrating it, I think I actually got choked up narrating it, because I was going around the table like narrating and just seeing everyone's face as like they were about on the verge of tears.
Yep.
So it was kind of that eye-opening moment then of, we might not come back at all.
Yeah.
So
That was a rough moment. That was a intense one. And Fierce has been there. Fierce was just like a throwaway at first, or was this not?
Fierce was one of those things where Colton had asked me, can I have the pet?
Yep.
And I told him I'm going to kill that dog.
You
Yeah.
still did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was essentially that, you know, I was flipping through, and I was like, okay, I'm going to play a druid because I haven't played a lot of those, and so I want to like try this out, and I'm going to have like a little grimy guy anyway, so let's make him the Rat King, basically. And I'm flipping through the druid stuff. I'm like, okay, he's not really going to wild shape. So, you know, what am I going to do with this? And I saw in the Tasha's book, there's an alternate feature where you can burn a wild shape to cast Find Familiar. And I'm like, hey, is this cool if I use this? And Biz is like, yeah, sure, it's in the book. I don't care. I'm like, okay, cool. If I do this, I don't want this to just be like, ah, yes, I have this thing now that goes and looks at things for me. And, you know, like, I don't want this to be just a mechanic. I want this to be I'm going to interact with this thing. Are you okay with that? She's like, okay. And we got one of the best NPCs I've seen in a long time. So,
was nailed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I think I make a fabulous spider. No, I never really meant for her to be a throwaway. Because if you think about your real life pets, this is probably real bad, but every now and then I'll give our pets a spoonful of ice cream or whipped cream, like as a treat.
Yeah.
Like, we'll let them sit on our laps. Like, your D&D pet has to have that level of authenticity.
Mhm.
Thank you. Words are hard.
Yep.
In order for it to have a key moment in the story. If you're not helping me bring that character to life, then it becomes a throwaway character.
Yeah.
Because you don't care for that character at that point.
I mean, that makes sense. And it really did feel like a piece of the family by the end, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, there was a part of me that knew mechanically, like, if anything happens to Fierce, it will take me 1 hour to recast the spell, and I will have Fierce back. And, like, the player knew that. But to Quinter, that is a person that he has met, he has bonded with, and if anything happens to that, like, that's a huge deal. And so, like, playing that out and, you know, making sometimes suboptimal choices to keep Fierce safe, I think it lent a really cool dynamic to this character.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are any of us?
Who are we?
What am I?
Are we human?
I sure shit ain't a dancer, so.
Prove you're not a robot.
Can I step away for a second? We're just proving we're not robots.
I think the most pivotal, it's really hard to say because there were so many points. And at so many different points in the campaign, I was also at such a hectic mind state that certain things hit differently than other things, even if it was a really kind of silly minor interaction. So I want to say for me, it wasn't necessarily pivotal moments. It was more so pivotal characters, again, like Fierce. And I think Kermit staying Kermit staying was definitely a really pivotal character moment for the party. And I think man, I really latched on Colt answering this one and not having to have an answer. I'm gonna be very real about that.
I can vamp for 3 hours if you need me to, so you just let me know.
I don't want to say pivotal in necessarily a good and or negative context. However, something that changed the way I viewed a character was definitely the Spider Club session. The Spider Club session definitely put it into perspective for me that Aunt Fanny can go fuck herself because whatever she's doing and calling us kids at the same time is weird. And I, as a character, it kind of set like that level of intention and trust and boundaries with the players and not you as a DM, like her character as a kind of villain, kind of not villain here, villain not here.
Well, that was
great, wonderful, supportive, whatever the fuck she was. But it was definitely one of those things that made me question, like, okay, should we be alarmed or
It was one of those things of like, you've done good things, but you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Thank you for having those words that I apparently cannot fucking
You're good.
think of.
You're good.
You
Because that
do
was my
good
exact thoughts of
things.
like, you've done great things
Yes.
for Gertie and Ferdinand, but as a whole, like at your core, you are bad.
Like she was a wholesome character, but at the same time there were those like slip ins that I was like, it would make me question reality of the scenario completely and be like, okay, well, yeah, you're not hurting us, but there are people being plucked out of these chairs next to me, and I can hear the spiders eating.
Yeah.
And so I'd say those were probably the more pivotal points that definitely changed how I responded to scenarios later on in the campaign. And it was those things that made me question, like, you say this, but this has happened. So you do you, and I'm gonna run that way now.
The last time I trusted somebody, she had spiders eat bar patrons while she spun tassels on stage.
Yes.
I don't trust nobody no more.
Yes.
It's a great
And her
manipulator.
grandchildren
Yeah.
were there.
She does good things, but it's when it benefits
It's
her.
her. Exactly.
Yes, I saw a lot of mirrored images between characters and situations that I was definitely like,
That's just good storytelling.
It is.
Yeah,
It is really
100%.
good storytelling, and there were very many times where it got me thinking for a while.
I'm Cameron. Impactful moment. I also want to just shout out to when not just Kermit leaving, but Ferdinand coming into the party
Mhm.
and
Oh,
giving
yeah.
Barnabas a surrogate little green man.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah.
It helped smooth the transition over a little bit, and he was just a little rapscallion.
Mhm.
He was a little rapscallion.
And then other pivotal moment would be finding out that the lady of the manor was indeed my mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult that shit was
it,
to keep a fucking secret?
suspecting it for quite a while before it became official, and
Mhm.
my character just like, I'm not acknowledging this at all.
Mhm.
And then realizing in the end she maybe wasn't just a bad woman after all.
Biz just so casually dropped that as character information for me. I want to almost as soon as I created Oakley, and immediately I was like, oh.
It makes sense
no.
that your character would know.
It does make
Yeah.
sense that she would know, but it was so hard to keep my mouth shut that eventually, like as soon as I had the chance, I told Gertie and Ferdinand or Gertie, and
Me.
yeah, as soon
Yep.
as I got the chance to finally get that shit off my
Just
chest.
to
I
tap
did.
the pressure valve a little bit. If I have to tell
Absolutely.
someone, or
I was
it's
gonna say you had that secret for months.
Yeah, that's because as soon as I like the first interaction with Fox or something and you, and he said something about your parents, I was like, fuck.
no.
Why?
Like a middle point stress level that when Barnabas got to every time, he just got to like, not when it was shit's on the line, you're trapped underneath a cellar and there's
Yeah.
a werewolf
Yeah.
and fire,
Yeah.
but
That sounded like such a good
not when he's completely calm, but right
Yep.
in the middle where he just goes, none of this is real.
Yep.
None of this can possibly be real. And there was a lengthy while in the third act where he was just going with the flow, like, none of this is real. There's no way that this
Yep.
is real. We're gonna get out of the mists,
Mhm.
and none of this is real.
Yep. I forget when we talked about it, but I think there was a point where, like I was talking to you, like I've always appreciated just how like cool, calm, and collected Barnabas is, no matter what's going on. And you just looked me dead in the eyes and goes, "He's disassociating every moment of every waking day." I'm like, this makes so much more sense.
I
I'm
want
like,
to
Barnabas is a stone cold killer. Like he's not here right now. Please leave a message.
I want a T-shirt with Barnabas's face on it that says "Apple juice for every occasion."
Yep. Merch coming soon.
Apple juice, water, or root beer. Those are the
No.
three things he drank.
It's non-fermented.
Non-fermented.
Apple
juice.
cider.
Yep.
Oh,
And I'm Eric.
yes. So for Ferdinand,
Mhm.
it was probably the most impactful moment was probably when we confronted Aunt Fanny about the spiders at the Spider Club, because there is
I don't know what you're talking about.
yep. She was like, "Nope, I don't know what you mean," and Ferdinand clung.
Just
those
hook,
words.
line, and sinker.
Just like, there, Aunt Fanny could do no wrong. There was no possible way that she could be a villain. There's
Mhm.
no possible way that she has done anything that has ever hurt anybody ever in the history of ever, because all he has known
Yep.
is her. And if that is broken, then he is nothing. So it was like his reality would just be absolutely shattered. So that it's really funny because the ending really made it like, oh, that was all. It was true. She didn't do anything wrong. Boom. Problem solved. We're back.
Completely validated.
So for him, it was when the party was like, even Gertie, like he probably didn't show it as much as I would have liked to, but he did not see Gertie the same way after she was like, I don't trust Aunt Fanny anymore. Because it was like, what do you mean? She took us in when we had literally nothing. And even it, like his backstory has with him becoming a Hexblood was her being a hag who experimented on him and turned him into a Hexblood. He didn't see anything wrong with that either. So he was like, oh, she's just helping me be able to do jobs. So it was very much just the moment of the party questioning.
Yep.
Oh, is she good or is she a bad person? So,
which to be fair, like that moment set up like one of the most pivotal moments of the campaign, which was like the Quinner and Ferdy having that big like yelling match there at at Aunt Fanny's, because it literally, like that moment of you like just planting your feet in the sand and saying like this is truth and nothing can move that, really set that up to just like for Quinner to just run smack into it. It was
I
the
felt like it
immovable
demanded
force.
so much respect from Oakley's character.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to be interrupted.
No, you're good. But it was literally the unstoppable force of just Quinner's like runaway, like every single thing that we have done has been terrible. Every single thing that we have come up against has been terrible. Just smashing straight into this immovable wall of Ferdy going, Aunt Fanny is the only good thing. And just neither one would give, and it set up that moment perfectly. And I think us having those two moments that we talked about set up that moment perfectly. Nick, what was your most pivotal moment? Oh, you're not getting out of this.
Well, I could get out of this. It was the session that I
could just cut
joined.
this all out.
That was the most important part of the campaign for me. Was when I came in and was like, "Oh, there's a podcast here. Welcome to podcasting. I'm starting." That was a pretty pivotal moment for me as a character in my life.
So real talk though, if we're doing real life moment, Cameron did not clarify to the rest of the group that you were going to be here for the long haul. So 90% of us were like, "Oh yeah, he's coming to show us how to use the equipment."
I didn't know that either.
Okay, so none
Surprise
of us
all
knew.
around.
So I would definitely say, as players, the most pivotal moment of this campaign was Nick joining.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure. Because guys, we're gonna be real here. We had no fucking idea what we were doing.
Not a clue. Not one.
Not a
in the
clue.
world.
The
We were
sound
wandering
quality
in the.
jump.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sound
If you
quality.
don't believe us,
Sound-
go back and listen to episode 1 and then listen to this again and see
We
how
had
the difference
$12
is.
Episode
for a
one,
domain and
yeah.
a dream.
But like you just saying, like, yeah, I can come this day every week, and we were like, wait, what? We thought you were only here to show us how our equipment worked and how to make better decisions with editing software. So for you to just step up and be like, yeah, no, I got you.
Man, could you imagine where we'd be without him right now?
We wouldn't be podcasting.
See episode 1.
Yeah. See episode 1.
This is Ferdinand speaking. This is what we sounded like in episode 1.
I
Probably worse
appreciate
than
it. This kind of runs into a question here, which is growing pains for the podcast, and also like being, jumping from this is going to be a long-term campaign into wait, this is also going to be a podcast.
Yep.
Like that moment should have been for everybody just a little bit of a doozy.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, super simple, no issues. Light work, no reaction. Next.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first.
From a DM's perspective, making sure the storylines connect.
Somebody's gonna be in the
Was
comments
it
that
whiskey
are,
or was it
excuse
vodka?
me,
Yeah,
you
precisely.
renamed this character twice and you moved them 4 times.
Yeah, no, it precisely.
you know it's gonna
I know
happen,
it's gonna
dude.
happen.
Yeah,
I'm waiting
it's
for it.
precisely making sure all the storylines connect and remembering details that need to be remembered Because I know the audience is gonna be at me in the comments like, that's not what you said 3 episodes on hour 1 minute 3 59 seconds. Like that's what it's gonna be. And then just sound quality. We had to buy a lot of the equipment we have is either sourced from Eric, thank you to his family and him, or
literally could not be doing this without you and your family being like, oh yeah, sure.
Or out of pocket from mine and Colton's budget. So, and then
Just
throwing some money in with some cords that we fucked up.
So if you want us to sound better, please go down below and click that subscribe and like button.
Look out for the Patreon. Coming
Yeah,
soon.
future Patreon coming if you want to support it. Like literally,
I'll take your money now.
Shut up.
Tell us what merch you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just literally tell us what you want to buy.
Yeah.
Just comment in the comment chant whatever below.
We're gonna have
Let
an
us know
NPC
what you
sweatshop.
No, it's just gonna be Fierce and her cousins. They're
Spiders
gonna,
don't sweat. So
they're
it
gonna
can't be a
give you
sweatshop.
some nice threads.
Oh, the
struggling
brand
with that
name
one,
is
huh?
going to be Fierce
Between
Threads.
the both of them,
Yeah.
I have no words.
In case you haven't picked it up already, Steven has a large selection of pet spiders. So every time we make very insensitive jokes about spiders, there's a physical recoil that happens.
It wasn't the insensitivity to spiders. I feel like those were wonderful and jolly. It was the level of dad joke that just happened at the same exact time between the two collective brain cells y'all share. I mean that with love. It was like two pieces of a magnet coming together and making one whole magnet. Like and then
That
it
is
was
mine and Biz's entire relationship. It's just two magnets coming together. It works.
I hear my refrigerator running somewhere.
Yep.
You know, I just know I'm about to get a call about it from one of y'all.
Say, those are my issues.
Yeah.
Not issues, but
Growing
problems.
pains.
Problematics,
growing
growing
Yeah.
pains.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to.
Ooh, I'll go.
Yeah.
Mine was a massive imposter syndrome narratively. So like I think everyone remembers like when we had the first conversation about like, hey, we're gonna try and do this thing. One of the things I brought up was, okay, well, how much are we going to plan out? Because in my mind, coming from a theater background, I'm like, okay, well, if this is going to be a show for an audience, we now have to figure out, like, we have to make sure we're hitting these story beats, and we have to make sure that we're doing this, we have to make sure that we're doing this. And it was finding that balance for me of, as a player and character, making a narrative that people want to listen to, but not making it so structured that I was no longer having fun playing the game that I was playing, right? Because I think a lot of the benefit of D&D and tabletop games in general is that random bullshit works a lot of the time. Like these games run on the Moon Knight complex of random bullshit go. And if you're not leaning into that sometimes, I think you miss a lot of the magic of it. So that was the biggest growing pain for me, is trying to make it too narrative and then having to pull that back and go, look, as long as I do these things, mission accomplished.
Makes sense. Anybody else feel taller after starting a podcast?
I'll say that I don't feel taller. I am a short boy. I will never feel tall. It's okay.
We stand short kings here.
Yeah, fucking
5'6".
fucking.
And queens.
You guys are. I'm 5'7". I'm sorry.
We stand short royalty here.
Anyways,
None of y'all are short, and y'all can all shut the fuck up. I mean it with love.
Pushing a solid 5'2" over there.
Barely 5'2".
I think a big thing was just like trying to get going, and because a lot of the time we get really caught up in planning that we forget we have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had constantly talked, oh, what if we made a podcast? What if we made a podcast? So I just bought the domain. It's $12 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's
Thank
fucking
you to
do
Eric
it.
for kicking us all in the balls.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys want to do it? Wah-pa!
Yeah.
And bringing the equipment.
Mush.
Yeah.
And then my a little about me. My dad used to be in a garage band, so he had some recording equipment or like
Oh,
some
yeah.
live play equipment that happens to work for what we're doing. It's old, but it works.
It works.
So I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I borrow this?" And he was like, "Yeah," because he was in a band like 10 years ago, and it was just sitting there. And I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "Okay." So just kind of getting going is always going to be a thing, I think.
Ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, because no matter what step we take, there's always going to be the chance that we like overthink the step, no matter how big or how small it's going to be. So like recording.
Yep.
How are we going to do microphones? How are we going to do what software are we going to use? How do we have a computer? This and that. And it's like
So much research.
there's so much research involved.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that just going, even if we stumble, is a good. Stumbling is still a learning opportunity. When you fall off your bike, get back on it.
I feel like the stumbles make it fun as
Yeah.
well. Like
Yeah.
all of the things that we figured out, like even when we work really hard on something and we go back and we listen to part of it and we're like, wow, we all sound like ants shitting themselves right now. I think it's still really fun to like have that collective experience and be like, okay, well, how are we going to figure it out? And none of us have had that point to where it's just like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. It can
Yeah.
just sit there and be crappy.
Yeah.
Like we have all collectively come together and put forth that attitude.
It was kind of like the my favorite example of that is when we first started doing this, we were uploading them as like what
MP3s.
MP3 files onto the Discord, and everyone's like, I can't access this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Downloading it,
Yep.
replacing it, moving it.
Yep, and then we had to make a YouTube and start uploading that, and then our channel got struck, and then we had to get it back, and
But
It
we
was a
got
lot
it.
of silent,
Yeah.
unknowing dedication.
yeah,
And I think I was gonna say something and then I
I'm
lost
so
it.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I like the conversation that happened
Yeah.
off of that. Scratch my head for a second. Wait for the thought to come back. It's not coming
Check
back.
it,
Don't worry.
Somebody else go
the
ahead.
brain cell's coming. I can see it. There it goes.
One thing was going from just, I mean, starting off, coming into an entirely new friend group
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the recording.
Yeah.
I had only met one person one time for what was probably like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and that one person is also probably the least social one out of all of
And
us,
then-
which makes it even more difficult.
Mostly just communicated with Snapchat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then getting invited to come play D&D, and then I think when it came to the recording, it was more going from, I had like an internal, I don't know, just this thought in my head that I was usually saying, well, this is what Barnabas is saying, to trying to, when I could, just say it
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
Barnabas would say it and put a little bit of performance into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
There's immense growth out of
Yeah.
you, Steven, and Brittany, who unfortunately couldn't be here today.
And I mean, I've always
We also-
wanted
we
to
also
do
did it very
something
quickly.
like this, like a podcast.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's been really fun.
And I want to say Cameron's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
to have met him.
Yeah.
I remember the thing I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I love everybody here.
The brain cell
Yeah.
came back.
Great.
Yay.
The brain cell came back. And the thing I was wanting to say was, no, I hope that no matter what happens, whether this thing takes off to the moon and back or it never leaves the ground, that we just always keep the vibe of like a bunch of friends playing D&D.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm really
That's-
confident that we will.
because like I think that's the important part out of this.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It's not an actual play if you're not actually playing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Steven?
My growing pains, I want to say mine had absolutely nothing to do with D&D itself, and they were entirely my own personal issues, truthfully. Prior to recording, it was so difficult to have the free time to sit down and play D&D because of so many outside demands.
Mhm.
So at the beginning of recording, and sitting down with Biz and having the conversation of, hey, I know a lot's going on for you right now, but we want to make this decision. And if we do, we want you there every single day. And while it was already something I was trying very, very hard to do, it was that immediate decision of, okay, do I set these boundaries and make this happen? Or do I give up this hobby and this, I don't even want to say free time, because I don't give up this, joyous leisure time with people whom I enjoy and feel safe with. So it was a really big jump for myself to demand that almost level of self-care from my surroundings, to say, no, I want this. I'm going to do this. I need to make the time for it, and I need the respect to make the time for it. So that was definitely the most difficult part, because not only did I have to put my foot down and say, I don't have time to do something, I also had to say, I'm doing this because I want to. I'm going to make the time for it, XYZ. Yep. So that was really difficult to also have the things demanding my time take it as what I wanted to take it as it is. It was like, oh, you're playing D&D? Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? And it was definitely like, no, I'm being with my friends. I'm supporting my sister. I'm developing a world, if you will. So it was a lot of responsibility and self-control, and it brought forth a myriad of benefits, but also a myriad of challenges, because now suddenly for a whole evening I'm not available. So people had to figure it out. Yep. And that was the biggest growing pain, was just watching them figure it out, because I could not stop and pick it up for them. Yeah. Nor did I want to, because if I did, then Oakley dies as a character. Then, there's maybe 1 or 2 sessions where I'm present, I'm here, but I'm super dissociated. So which can work in the mists and everything. And as a DM, not just Biz, but the both of you guys as DMs with me have always helped me build my characters in a way to allow that type of dissociation. But at the same time, it was something that I had to fight here to stay in character, to be with everything. And it's a really good mental exercise.
And it's been appreciated, I'm sure. Like, I mean, the short time I've seen here, you've been fucking killing it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, you were like, I don't think it's a thing with D&D, but you hadn't really played D&D before this. Like, I think you started in this one before you started in the home game that we're playing, that I'm running. And
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so like learning the system, learning the system was a real deal for both you and Brittany. So yeah, so just from going from the like stereotypical I want one set of dice, please, to where we are now, like that's a huge deal, and for both you and Brittany, honestly.
When you look at the really big timeline, I haven't been playing myself haven't been playing in the campaigns myself. Thank you. Yeah. I haven't been playing in the campaigns myself, but I've been there with you and Biz, watching, listening, interacting for at least 2 years. Yeah. So I've got a really good dialogue. And for me, I learn things that have really intricate, instructions, not necessarily details or lore, because I can latch on to lore and fucking fly.
Yeah.
It's the instructions and the mechanics and the numbers, and knowing that things are not necessarily flexible, but they are flexible. Yep. It was like learning a whole new language. So I had to take it in very slowly so that I didn't burn myself out on it. Yep. And that slow build up helped so much, because it wasn't, oh, your friends are playing D&D, build a character and run with it. It was, okay, here's this thing. It's really social, but I'm not really social. Yep. So I'm going to slowly dip my toes in the water. And it just finally got to that point where it was like, oh, okay, it's time to cannonball. We're either going to do it or we're fucking going to not.
Yep. Yeah.
And, just the simple thing of Biz saying, hey, I really want to do this thing was, that thing of, oh, I really want to support my sister, but also like, That sounds like so much fucking fun.
I have a thing I want to say.
Mhm.
I would like to commend Steven because like the character growth that they have shown with Oakley, and I don't know if we're going to have the one shot before or after this, but there was a one shot that I ran, and the character that they fucking made.
Yeah.
I felt like she was getting so repetitive, like
y'all
near
ain't
the
ready.
end.
No.
The character
I
that
sat there, I was
Steven
like,
made
Oh God, I need to just shut
was
the fuck
top
up.
fucking
No.
tier,
It was
and
great.
to
It was
hear
really
that
good.
that Steven has struggled so much, and then watch that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
Thank
this
you.
is amazing. So
It-
I want you to know that.
I was
Yeah.
I was so proud of both you and Brittany for just being willing to take the big swings. I
You
think
gotta
that's-
be a silly kind of guy.
Yeah.
You just gotta be a little guy,
You just gotta be a silly goose sometimes with D&D.
and that's real difficult.
Yep. And that's the scariest thing I think with this game, because you can look at the numbers all day and be like, okay,
Yes.
I get how the game works.
I went
There's a
from
big
telling
difference.
Biz Oakley says and does this to actually going through it, and I'm really excited for the
Yeah.
next campaign. I want
Ditto.
to explore voices and things like
Yeah.
that, but then again, that's something that's going to be really like
little by little.
I'm
Yep.
going to feel
Yeah.
like such a fucking dork for the first like
Do
2
it. It's
sessions
fine.
until I
But,
get it.
But like, there's such a big difference in like, I understand the mechanics, and like Oakley chasing after Quinter when he goes and talks to Fox, and like mentally connecting to him to go, hey, there's something here. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And like, and then like finding her own way to sneak into the servant's
manor,
entrance and
yeah.
having that whole interaction. And then there's like knowing the mechanics, and there's Gertie's character going to the ball and being like,
Oh my
I'm just
God.
gonna like, I'm gonna steal everything that's not bolted down from every one of these rooms. Like,
It is so hard for me to create bonds.
mhm.
For one, as you know, a traumatized person. For two, as a person on a spectrum. So making imaginary bonds is so fucking hard because I'm
Yep.
sitting here. I'm like, what do you mean I'm supposed to feel my character's feelings? I
don't even feel my feelings.
I take medication to not do that. So it was one of those jumps where like learning how to envelop yourself in the character is something that I am learning with every single
Yep.
campaign, and I'm already seasoning myself for the next one to
Yep.
like just. It was hard to slip in and out of character too.
Yeah.
Like
Even
It's
as
a
a
lot.
more neurotypical person, like role playing can be
I fucking
difficult.
bet.
It's hard
Yeah.
to get into
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
it's hard to feel comfortable letting those extra bolts loose in your mind.
Yep.
Especially because like I as a neurospicy person have a lot of echolalia, have a lot
Mhm.
of different accents that pop out at random times. I will sing what I'm saying, but when it's intentional, that is so fucking different.
Yep.
And then I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to be funny right now, so magically I don't know any jokes that
Yep.
would make sense.
It's like going up to a comedian, be funny. Like, what do you mean?
Being told your whole life you're funny, you should be a comedian, but
Yep.
then when you try to write down a joke, somebody looks at you and goes, what the fuck is this?
Yep.
Yeah.
What is this?
It just says sexy goblin. What do you mean?
One other thing I just want to shout out to on the new players.
Mhm.
When we started, or when they started, I felt like there was several moments of stuff like, I want to come up to them and chop their head off. Which
Yeah.
we did. We got much less mechanically
Yeah.
Yeah.
inaccurate things as it
Yeah.
progressed to
Yeah.
the point where it really didn't happen.
There was
Yeah.
no
Towards
murder
the end.
hoboing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was still murder hoboing,
mean,
but it was
yeah.
mechanically sound murder hoboing.
Yes.
And that's what we want.
Also, for anyone who is listening at all and wants to try voices, ridiculous ones, doing a ridiculous one
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yep.
Start there because
Just throw it so far over the fence that you don't have to worry about it anymore.
If
No,
I
I'm
listen
even
to a
ready
man
for
voice
the next
long
game.
enough, I'll just sound like a man.
Well, but that's fine. If
Yep.
you don't dip your toe in the water to even attempt, you're not going to do it.
Yep.
And that's the whole reason why I'm able to pull the voices that I have pulled for my NPCs for the campaign that we played.
Yep.
There's
Question.
nobody else in the world I could do this with other than Biz. No, if anybody else were the DM, I would look at them and be like, nope,
You didn't get me to do that.
crazy. You
Luckily, have
crazy.
somebody that's
Yep.
making funny voices all the time.
Yep.
For fun.
And
I don't have personality disorders.
I love Eric's advice so much of like, if you're worried about doing voices and feeling like ridiculous, just make the ridiculous voice. And then if you feel ridiculous, you're like, oh, I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And you'll
Which
quickly
is a
get
big
over that.
reason my goblins all sound like this. And
Yeah.
they have this nasally voice. And
Yep.
then I had Kermit who spoke like this. And it's just like, yeah, it's purposeful.
Whoa!
It sounds
More
dumb.
throaty.
And it's
Yeah.
okay, you know?
Yeah.
Related question for Biz.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Do you, as somebody who's interested in voice acting, as somebody else interested in voice acting, do you do like any specific warm up
This is
preparation?
also
Let me
a
tell you
question
about
I
what
have.
this woman does. All right.
Because
So
I do.
Does she
like to
scream
do
like
deep
Fierce?
voices, and I end up like growling for like 10 minutes.
I'm over here and I'm like, if I gotta sound like a dude, I'm just gonna smoke right beforehand.
there's definitely been times where she has thought I've been asleep and she's been in the office watching TikToks of like voice acting training of like, here is your monologue to read in different voices. And I just hear her talking to herself in the other room. I'm like, yes. And I tell you, it fluctuates like every other sentence. It is the most unnerving thing to wake up to if you're not used to it. Because you're like, yes, good. The voices are louder today. Oh, wait, they're Biz. They're fine.
Yeah, so warm-ups in particular. Fun fact, I don't warm my voice up like a bad person. Liquids.
She drinks lots of tea after every session that Fierce has a big part in. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
So tea, if you're not allergic to honey, recommend honey. I am allergic to honey, so I cannot. I'm also a diabetic, so that's also a big no-no. But hot tea, warm tea, helps warm the vocal cords up. Fluids, all the fluids, room temperature, fluids, water.
You know, some
particular.
people say that, but I've heard other voice actors just say that's a myth.
Until I am told by a teacher or someone who is more talented than I am, hey, you don't have to fucking do that.
Because all my liquids are ice cold.
I feel like this is
Cold
one of
liquid.
those like find what works for you things.
Yeah.
But then again, what the fuck do I know?
I think the lubrication for the liquids
Yeah.
is the most important part. So what temperature it's at. is not
Never
super important.
forget lube.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if you're gonna be doing stuff like Fierce and stuff like that. That's really gonna be rough. You gotta make sure that.
This
Yeah.
voice is not easy to do. It's real rough.
Yeah.
So that's when I had sessions where I was talking for 30 fucking minutes in that voice.
Does your
it's-
voice
I
hurt
can
for a
imagine.
few days after?
Yes.
Does your voice hurt? Did
meh.
yeah?
Simlish.
Thank you for your input. Lovely.
So no, my voice wouldn't hurt days after. It would hurt after the session for a bit.
Yeah.
And that's when you guys started seeing me drink the tea and more liquids before session just to help prepare, because I never knew when Fierce was going to be asked to do a lot of speaking. So, but yeah, a lot of fluids.
Yeah, I can tell that's a tough voice.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
do for an
When I
extended period of
decided to
time.
do an 80-year-old chain smoker for a spider that I didn't think was going to be talking a whole fucking lot,
That was your mistake.
oh boy, was I wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah, and had to have like range in their parts and
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
It's always the Boblin the Goblin character that you make as a throwaway that everyone latches on to. Like, oh my god, what are they doing? What do they think?
Fierce Venom
Stab
Stab Butts needs a cameo account.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be so good.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
We just have her be the Instagram model for NPC.
I need her commentary on things. I need to like. I need NPC to post a picture and her under there being like, what I don't know.
I mean,
insert
she is the
use-
prettiest
this is
princess
where
at the
you
party,
speak.
so
Yes.
People need to be able to pay to get a happy birthday message from Fierce.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd be
Yes.
okay with that. But no, lubrication of the throat.
Damn right.
Also, the other thing that from the research that I have personally done, rest your voice.
Mhm.
Like if there's a day where you don't have to fucking say shit or don't have to talk a lot, don't speak.
I have this disease called I can't shut up.
It's very unfortunate.
I'm a hermit, so I just sit in my room and watch YouTube.
Yep.
Even if
I
I'm
don't
home
ever
alone.
speak.
My poor
Yeah.
cat. My poor cat.
So those are two of the big tips that I've seen. So usually on the weekends, when Colton's not up, I'll literally just sit and be quiet.
Quote unquote.
Little does she know.
Yeah, had no idea that was a thing that had happened.
Uh-huh.
That's news now.
It's real fun.
I hate that. This is knowledge now.
It's really funny because I'll just sit in the bedroom, I'll turn the media volume all the way down on my phone, and then I'll just watch like YouTube or something while it's going in the background. Just like,
Do you ever try to find videos that like their lips match up with what she's saying?
no.
You should.
No. I also had to stop myself because usually in that situation I'd be watching like TikTok while I send like 90% of the TikToks that I send to people go to Biz.
Hi.
So I'm like, I can't do that because then she'll see the notification, she'll know I'm up, and then I'll have to do things.
And then I'll stop.
Yeah.
How long has this been going on, Colton? This is trained expertise right there.
An indiscriminate amount of time.
Yeah,
Indiscriminate amount of time.
I'm pretty sure since
I
I
plead the
started.
fifth.
And the other thing is
I signed an NDA.
practicing.
Yeah.
Pick up just random mundane items and just read them. Like if I pick up this box of plastic spoons and just read the back in whatever the first emotion that pops into your head and read it, it gets you used to doing silly voices. And I say silly voices lovingly because I walk around work talking in silly voices. My coworkers think I'm insane.
Think.
Stole the words right out of my mouth.
Yep.
So that's really all it is practice, rest your voice, lubricate with fluids. And there's, if you ever want to get more information, we literally have computers in our pockets. So
Yeah, I was just wanting like insight
Google's
into
free.
your
What
process.
is your process?
I also sing. I will sing.
I don't sing because I'm
Listen.
not a good singer.
I never said I was a good singer.
I mean, I sing in my car.
Yeah, no, like before session, I will sing on my way home from work. I have a specific Dungeon Mistress playlist that I listen to get me into the headspace. I know just about every single word to every single song on that playlist.
I just started a new playlist for you. I'm working on it. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. So, but that's my advice for that.
Either in relation to voices or not, do you have a favorite NPC from the campaign?
But
Everybody, but starting with you.
Start with the person who's all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God, that is such a long list. Why did you have to start with me?
Double it and give it to the next person.
You know that's going to end up with you having like
6.
2, 4, 6, 12.
Surprise! I don't have a favorite.
Mine's
have
the list
11
of
more?
NPCs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do math.
I don't know why I was thinking two
I
starting there.
think okay, so like I'm gonna give like top 3 because it's really hard to narrow them down. Fierce is one of the voices, just because it was one of those voices that I was like, I don't think I can pull this off, and then I did it, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, and then it became a regular voice that I can just pull out of my ass now. So Fierce's voice is definitely one of them. I also really liked throwing it back to prior to recording Changeon's voice. That
God.
like sultry, I don't even know what accent I was pulling out then.
One of them.
one of them.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
It's
But
been a hot minute.
it was a hot minute. I don't even think I can pull it out right now. But he was just that sultry, like charming, you know you want it kind of voice. Like I could sell you anything off the shelf and you would buy it. And then the third one is the Russian orc that Quinner bought
Yeah.
Fierce from.
Yep.
Those
Babushka lady, yes.
babushka orc. She was definitely a fun one to do, and she appeared again later for a little bit in
To make her the prettiest princess.
Cartacas.
Mhm. To make her the prettiest princess.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Well, any
I have a favorite. It's not close. And it's not fierce.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
My favorites were definitely Ball Peen.
Oh.
Ball and Peen were two Kinku store owners from Carcass who ran a pot shop. And not that kind of pot shop. They ran a shop where they sold pots. And inside the pots were random magical items. So they ran a gotcha shop. But because they were Kinkus, they could perfectly mimic anything they had heard before. So their favorite thing to do when they were impatient was just to say ball peen like a ball peen hammer over and over and over again. And they would just like, their voices would just like jump octaves randomly throughout the way they were talking. And it was just the coolest thing in the world. And I'm definitely biased because of the shop that they had. And we wasted 90% of the party's funds through the entire campaign.
And a
in
lot
that
of
Sure, it was a
time.
waste.
Yeah, and we spent an entire session doing nothing but breaking pots. It's like we were playing a Zelda game.
That was my answer too.
Yeah!
Well, but
I didn't know their names. I was
Yep.
just gonna say the Kenkus.
Yeah, ball ping.
Ball peen.
Well, and the other thing about them was they first started with a word. Give us a new word.
Yep.
And they I did my best to mimic whoever gave me the word
Yep.
perfectly and use the word in a sentence. And it was really that oh god. I just didn't want it to be like normal where it's
Mhm.
like my Kenku talks in a singular voice. No, your Kenku did not talk to a single goddamn person their entire life up until this point.
Yep.
So
No single person said the exact sentence that they were about to say. It doesn't work like that.
yeah.
So voice wise, I think this will actually be a minor shock. Was probably Sarah, fake Sarah.
Yeah.
Voice wise, fake Sarah. This is from the circus prior to recording. Fake Sarah was a little bitch.
Fuck that hoe.
What do you mean I was a little bit?
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope. Get the fuck out of here.
And it was like the voice was exactly right for a little girl who was pretending to be innocent.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
bullied you.
She
worse
bullied-
than the rest
She
of
so
us.
bullied-
hard.
So prior to recording, I was playing Kermit the Bard, and he was a very over the top, very flouncy and all this good stuff.
Muppetous, if you will.
And he would. I don't even know what the fuck happened, but
I don't know what I did.
I don't know what I did to deserve the hate, but Sarah fucking hated him. There was a moment where Kermit had signed a note, just an autograph, just to be ridiculous, and then she took that note and stole his voice, and it was
Stole his name.
Stole his name,
You
exactly.
couldn't say your name.
Kermit could not say his name for a while, and it was like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
Kermit, the person who wanted
Like
nothing
a
more
weird
than to
Have his name be known. Yeah. So, but
It was one of your fears.
Yep.
yeah, but NPC wise, it would probably be Thistle Wall. She was a bird. Because this is also prior to recording, unfortunately. So Kermit came across. Yeah, I know. So there was a time while walking through the mist where a bird just showed the fuck up, and I don't even remember how we figured out that the name was Thistle. That was a weird lag there.
Lots happened
Was
since
that we got Thistle because Steven's previous character left her
Yep, it was the
Yeah, I killed
caged
Norma.
bird.
cage.
Yeah, and then the bird was in there suddenly, and it was Thistle, and Kermit was trying to teach her how to play cards and cheat.
Mhm.
It was great. It was
It was great.
I thought I was gonna have a pet, and then she turned out to be a fucking person.
Don't you hate it when that
I hate it when
happens?
that happens.
Wild shape's a hell of a drug.
I know, right?
I
But
hate
it-
when my pets are people.
Yeah. So that would be my answer.
I think they have sentience and rights and shit.
When
Yeah.
the bear you've been screwing turns out to be a man.
Right?
Oh, fuck.
That's gonna date this video.
I don't even know what you're referring to. That's just funny, man. That's just fun. That's good.
Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, yeah.
It's more like when that man you've been screwing turns out to be a bear. I think that's the more accurate version. The bear is his natural form.
No, it's funnier.
To be fair, he's always a bear.
He's always a bear. Even in human form, he's a
Even
bear.
in human form, he's a bear.
Is it just ball ping for you, Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay. Steven?
We're addicted to the gambling.
The ducks.
The duck.
Oh, the ducks were
Oh,
good.
God.
They were very good. They were very good.
They were so good.
I was kind of hoping the ducks would have stuck around for a little bit longer so that we could use them for combative purposes.
You got it.
We kind of
You
did.
did get
Bread.
one big. daddy duck.
One good smack
I
out.
wanted to firebomb that
Sorry,
mansion
that
so
just
bad.
got me.
That was my entire intent. Was I was going to firebomb the hell out of it. Just burn it to the ground. I don't care if it was Barnabas's ancestral home. It's getting torched.
That house was built on cursed land.
Exactly.
It's the Overlook.
So what are some of y'all's scariest-
Wait, no.
Whoa.
Dang,
Nate.
I thought I was so close.
More words of LA Knight. No.
So I'm kind of, it's kind of a cop out. It's not that bad one, but the tongue was mine.
Okay,
Tongue
little
was mine.
crow.
It just seemed like a
Oh, God. Yes.
yeah.
That was up there for me too.
And you technically wore
don't
tongue for a
see
little
me.
bit
Yeah.
in the Christmas special.
In the Christmas special, I was tongue for a moment, and that was enough for me to be like,
Yep.
I like this.
I
one.
like this one.
Yeah.
I like this one. This one's nice.
I'm giving the bird a knife. I have a knife already.
it really was also an interesting interaction in the story of just like, all right, we're gonna fuck with this bird and try to figure out, all the players being like, what do we do? How do we do we touch this? Do we not touch this? What's gonna happen? And having this big moment of like, we're gonna fight this. You give the bird a knife. Okay. All right. What'd you, all right,
What do you have there?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
No.
So that was a fun NPC for
Yeah.
me.
I did like that one. That one was good.
Yeah. That's pretty much it though. Moving on though to what I was trying to skate by with.
No.
Some of y'all's scariest or funniest moments throughout this cascade of poor choices.
I can start on this one.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
I remember the scariest moment for Barnabas, and I mentioned it earlier. It's getting trapped underneath the stage at the circus
God.
with the clown man that summoned a giant
Wolf.
yeah, giant. Was it a dire wolf?
Yep.
And then finding out all my escapes were locked. Trying to burn it, and now I'm stuck underneath the stage with a burning wolf.
The on fire stage. That is your
And I
ceiling.
just had to start begging on the trap door of the stage for Quinter and Ferdinand to come rescue me.
The only thing
wish
I
that was
can
recorded.
God, the only thing I can see now, because like the whole point of this guy was he was called like the organ grinder.
Yes.
And like none of his body was shaped the right way. Like everything was bad. It was every bit of body horror you can imagine. And all I can see in that image of him coming down the hallway now is, if you've played or seen footage of Poppy Playtime 3, there's the part where like the demonic Bendy like crawls out of the TV and chases you down the hallway. That's all I can see now. It's just like every appendage is shaped wrong, everything is bad, and there's this closed space that you cannot get out of, that it is coming down to get you.
And the other thing
Oh, and the
about that
voice.
was
Yeah.
you guys burrowed a tunnel in the ground
Whoa.
and
In a random direction.
in a random direction, not knowing if you were getting out
Yep.
of the burning tent.
Yep.
And I think it was you, Cameron. Your character got grabbed by
Got
the
grabbed.
Yep.
45 feet
That was fucked up.
away.
Yeah, fun fact, if you're not real familiar with D&D, 90% of characters have a 30-foot movement speed. So the fact that he got yoinked 45 feet
By
away
just arms.
was so bad because it meant we could not get to him in one round. And then because it was my character that was burrowing out because he turned into a badger of like, we can't get out here. We can't get out here. We can't fight this thing. We got to go. And burrowed into the worst place in the circus.
Yes.
We just went from bad to worse somehow when we were already dealing with unimaginably bad. It was terrible.
More
Yeah.
body horror.
Do you have a good happy moment you want to
Yeah,
share?
you have a funny
Cameron?
Yes, my favorite funny, but also just general moment in the entire campaign, also pre-recording, was it Cartacas, the musical town?
Yes.
Yes.
Was sneaking into the basement
That was so
of the
good.
tavern with
Kermit.
to poison the barrels of mead with silver to kill the werewolves
when our literal
and bullshitting the guard.
Yep.
When our 3-person squad became SEAL Team 6 for a minute.
When we decided to build punji pits and lure the werewolves into the woods.
I'm going to make punji pits and line them with wolfsbane, and they're going to sneak into the inn and poison all the ale with silver. The
only time in multiple D&D campaigns where a group ever was like, we're actually going to plan and do the plan instead of we're just going to wing it. Yep.
It was like we all just had a simultaneous moment of looking at each other, looking back at Biz and saying, you gave us how long before this happened? All right, here's what we do. Just like immediate Ocean's 11 heist theme starts
It
playing.
really was. It was
Finger
great.
snaps are happening.
It was so good. I just remember like Kermit trying so hard to have a reason to have snuck in. Like we're just looking around. I don't even remember what the
You
fuck
guys were
I said.
inspectors.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
just inspectors checking the meat. And
Yep.
What the fuck?
You're like food and bev inspectors or something.
If it was a movie, we would be explaining the plan
As it was.
narration
Exactly.
as
Yep.
it was happening on
Yep.
screen.
Exactly.
It's fantastic. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
So for Kermit, it actually was losing his name because that was literally dying without having ever gained any kind of fame, glory, with his name just forgotten was awful because the whole time he just wanted to be famous for something. So funny moment was him trying to get laid by a strange man.
Changeon.
Who then stabbed him?
Who then?
Wait, that guy was changing you?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, so much makes
So-
sense now.
Yeah, so Biz was like, "Oh yeah, this really alt looking dude," and I'm like, "Okay,
Dope.
all right, cool."
I don't know your type at all.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
DM credibility. DM credibility right
Does
there.
it feel good or terrible to be read so hard?
I don't know yet. I'm still processing that several months later. Anyways, it was hilarious to me because like I told myself I'm gonna play a bard, but not a horny bard, and then Biz was like, "Here you go. Here's a sexy character."
Here's your first option to be horny. Well,
I was like,
that was quick.
God damn it. Well,
Oh, you're a girl dragon.
yeah.
My man's folded like a lawn
But the
chair.
thing was like, Biz did not describe like gender at all. I was just like, this person's hot, so it's whatever. And then Kermit was like, when in Rome, you know. For Ferdinand, the scariest moment was probably that pivotal moment where we started doubting Aunt Fanny. He was probably like, he was in severe denial, at a very like. It was a very much like everything's fine. Aunt Fanny can't be wrong. And inside he was like, if this would tear my reality apart. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then to piggyback off of that, there was a moment where Quinner was like saying, I'm gonna go confront Aunt Fanny, blah 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 blah, and being all somewhat threatening towards her. And Ferdinand was fully prepared to kill him.
Yep.
Or attempt to anyway. Funny moment with the fucking ducks.
The
ducks were real
Because I
good.
fell off the were rat and then I jumped. I fucking super jumped onto a duck of all things.
You did like the Legolas mount. On
A fucking duck of all things, and caught back up to them. And then, of course, they wanted bread, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Ferdinand has bread," and Ferdinand did not have bread. We did not know that they wanted bread. So,
Dude, I tried so hard to get those ducks some fucking bread, and it just didn't happen.
so that's what I got.
Okay, so I have one scariest that was off recording, but I feel bad that a lot of the stuff we're referencing is off recording. So I have one that's also on recording. And then my funniest moment is on recording, so we're good on that one. The scariest moment off recording was when we found the real Sarah for the first time. Because that was the first, like, oh, okay, it's not just that things are messed up. Like, there are real consequences to the bad things that are messed up. Like, these things are, like, actually affecting people that are getting genuinely hurt, right? For the scariest on recording moment, I think it was the moment that the genuinely scariest moment for Ferdinand for you see you said it.
Yeah, we already did that.
Yeah.
And I'm Eric.
The genuinely scariest moment for Quinter on recording was after he said, like, everyone we meet is evil, and his sister came up.
That fucking moment hit so hard.
Yeah. And the moment that he realized that his sister knew that he was out there and he had still gone through all this stuff by himself, I think that was the moment that was scariest for Quinter, because any hope that he had disappeared in that moment. So it's not like a shock and awe type horror, but it's that horror of like hopelessness of the one thing that I had going for me is now bad. The funniest moment is not close. It was us at the meadery. And I think that was on recording, but I think it's one of the early episodes that's not super good audio quality. I think we started recording before the meadery. Is that right?
No.
Yes. No, damn it.
Are you talking about the honeybee?
Yeah. Where we roll into literally the poshest town in existence and go to the first bar we find and are just like absolute hoodlums at this nice tea shop. Like, I'm talking Gertie and Ferdinand diving under tables to hear gossip. I'm talking we're just going to like the smoke rooms upstairs and just like sending Fierce around to every single balcony to just get whatever hot goss is going on around there while smoking our own selves out. It was a really good breath of fresh air after a lot of serious stuff, and it was so funny.
Dine and Dash was on the table.
Yeah, the fact that
until we learned that everything was really cheap and some of the drinks basically paid for themselves.
Yeah,
literally paid
like
for
me and Ferdinand were just like spitting up gold from one of the teas that we had drank.
And then we wanted to find another pot shop.
Yeah, we're like, oh, we have money now. So we can spend it on
Let's
gotcha.
go. Yeah.
I would say the funniest moment on recording then, which isn't really funny, but it's definitely funny as a player, was when we found your teddy bear.
That is actually way the fuck up there.
Yeah.
Putting him in the backpack.
Yeah.
and me and Barnabas are like, bro, I don't know how to tell. This is bad. This is like the most obvious trap that's ever been trapped in Trap's history. And then Quinter is like, yeah, but if we knowingly go into the trap, it's not a trap because we're prepared for it.
Yeah.
And then the freaking bear walks out and I go, okay, this is not a trap that we're walking into. We're walking into that trap. That's a different trap. And that one's not okay.
I'm that was mine as well. Was Charles?
Yep.
Charles?
Yep.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
That was
I loved Ferdinand looking over at me and being like, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you right now. Charles didn't speak to me.
God.
And then Charles trying to gaslight you.
Yeah. Charles was on full gatekeep gaslight girl boss mode, and it was the best thing in the world. No, I've always been like this. No. Get in the bag, Charles.
That was pretty great.
Don't you remember?
Yeah. You did this.
Steven?
Scariest and funniest?
Yep.
Scariest would probably be when the dots connected for Oakley, that a lot of her education and sorcerer ability, a lot of that shit was in the end what was, used for her to just aid what was going on. So that moment kind of near the end, I'd say, was probably the scariest for Oakley. It kind of made her feel like a bad person. And I think that's why Oakley's end score was so low. I think no matter how the campaign would have ended, Oakley would have felt such a great sense of responsibility for so many things that happened, because even though she was working for the manor in the delusions and all that jazz, it was still, is something that in the moments she was very proud of, because it was, oh, look at this. I'm a well-educated sorcerer. I can use my magic to do this, even though I only had really few spells. I only used once, but we're not going to talk about that.
It's okay. Cameron only used Eldritch Blast for the whole campaign.
She had all these abilities.
You Dimension Door, actually.
Yeah.
Dimension Door. Yeah. Clutch Dimension Door, too.
I think that, really rocked Oakley as a character. And it was actually the moment that I chose to not... I was going to put Oakley in the binder of characters to be used for, whatever in the future. But it was kind of that moment I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. This character is now traumatized.
Touch that.
This one's broken.
I broke it.
Oakley's got to go to therapy before she can go dungeon crawling again.
Until the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I don't know. Y'all might have to rip Oakley out of a institution or something.
I'll be right there with you.
Asylum Heist?
Yeah.
Funniest I'd say was probably still the ducks. The ducks were they were really good, but I will say there were so many moments with Charles, the little fucking bear, that I had to sit there and be like, oh my god.
Can I talk about my funniest Oakley moment real quick?
Yes.
My funniest Oakley moment was when Oakley, as the second most drunk person in the party, tied human leashes to Quinner, the most drunk person in the party, and Barnabas, the most stone cold sober person in the party.
I couldn't let y'all get eaten by spiders.
So that Oakley could hold on to both of them, because Barnabas was a flight risk.
Initially, Oakley came into the there might be a lot of where her guilt comes from too. Initially, Oakley came into the party with the worst intentions to steal y'all's identities for the manor. So it was very much like collecting things from you guys. And I'm not really sure where it changed, but eventually Oakley was like, "This is a lot of work," and they're not really demanding these personalities right now. And then the dream, like being in Barnabas's head, happened, and then she was just like, "Yeah, they can't have these people."
I take it back. My favorite Oakley moment with Quinner happened off recording, because it was when Quinner first met Oakley.
Oh.
And Oakley did the mental speech thing, and Quinter didn't know that. And he's like, God. And the best part was it happened because it was when we met Delilah, who Kermit eventually fell in love with and stayed with.
I can't remember what it was that I was saying to you.
But you had excused yourself from the group, and Quinter's like, that seems suspicious. So he went and wild shaped into a rat and scurried after to spy around the house, basically.
Oh yeah.
And Oakley, because she had the telepathic sense, went, somebody's over here thinking.
Where are you, little rat? I can fucking hear you.
And so Quinter jumped into a bathroom and pretended that he had excused himself to go to the restroom, and then cast Druidcraft to make the most noxious fart smell possible to try and play it off.
That's a deep cut. I forgot about
that.
Yeah, honestly, that's pulling from the memories too. Oakley had no idea that she was actually going to stay a part of the party, and I think part of that was I was really unsure on parts of her character.
Yep.
All right. So I got a couple. pre-recording scary moment. The whole Sarah thing was pretty terrifying, but the one that I'm gonna pull is the big werewolf attacking the house.
God, yeah.
That was really
Ware's
good.
House.
Yeah.
That
Where-
was
Where Miss Ware
Intense.
and Luca were in the flipped basement house.
This is where we
Yep.
realized we had 0 combat ability.
Fact.
Yeah.
Fact.
100%.
Recording scary moment, which didn't end up being truly scary, was when you guys split the party.
Which time?
And yeah, it's precisely
Every single
Always split
when
the
it
party.
was Gertie and Quinner, and they decided to stay outside
Yeah. Yeah.
with the mist chasing them through the town.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you this right
Where
now.
literally every single NPC was like,
Oh,
don't be out
okay.
after 3 a.m. And me and Gertie went, we gonna stay out after 3 a.m. You can't tell us what
Well,
to do.
because here's the thing: you guys were rolling so well. If you hadn't rolled as well as you did,
Super dead.
you would have been super dead.
Super dead.
Super dead. Which would have tilted the
Everything.
Yep.
the tone of the super hard.
Oh, I have no doubt that had we died there, the mist would have somehow found a way to plant our bodies directly on the doorstep of the inn.
Funny moments, pre-recording would have to have been. Oh, there's so many to pick from. They're
We're
so
kinda
good.
hilarious.
accidentally getting that rat killed.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a deep cut. That's a great one.
You suppressed it.
Yeah, that's the memory.
Would have to be you guys just trying to figure out what questions to ask Madame Maria at the very
God
beginning.
damn.
And we asked the most vague,
The most vague
open-ended
shit.
possible shit.
We spent an hour and a half real world time figuring out what we were going to ask, and the things we came up with were still the most vague, nondescript questions you could imagine because we were trying to cover everything.
There's so many better questions that
Yeah.
we could have
We
asked.
could have been like, "Where are we going to be tomorrow?" Like that would have been a better
Yeah,
question
that
than
would've
what we.
Do you have any magical devices that are like compasses that
Yeah.
navigate the mists?
Yeah, they asked the 3 vaguest questions. And it's like that's what you guys are going with, and they were so
And we were so confident.
so
in it.
confident.
We were so confident.
We
had
planned
figured it
them out.
Yeah.
they had run down a list of like 20 questions that they had come up, and they're like, "All right, we need 3 of these."
Can I say what the funniest thing looking back was?
Not yet, because
Okay.
I'm finishing mine.
Okay.
Funniest recording moment
Oh yeah.
is the whole Fierce getting drunk
Yeah.
in the mead,
Yeah.
and the
Then the
wait-
hangover like 3 seconds afterwards
Yeah,
because she's
and
so
then-
small.
and then your order to the waitress at the Dying Rose. It's like, that's it.
Yep.
That's all you want. Okay.
Yep.
So
So good.
those are mine.
The funniest thing in hindsight, it was not funny when it happened. It was horrifying and so unnerving when it happened. But looking back, it's probably the funniest thing in the entire campaign was our reaction when we realized the moons changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of just all of us being like,
What the fuck?
no, 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 no.
Barnabas we had to send in phobias.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the third one off the top of my head,
Mhm.
but one of my phobias was the full moon, and another one was wolves.
So good.
And Kermit's
Okay,
was not
Shadowheart.
being known.
Not being known in suffocation.
Why is
and-
Barnabas just Shadowheart, but as a
He's
English
afraid,
gentleman?
more afraid of werewolves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be very real. When Biz told us to send in our fears, I had no idea that we were just supposed to make some up. I thought she was asking us for our actual fears.
I'm so sorry.
So it was really fucking hard for me to respond.
That's
And I am today years old.
Put you through real trauma.
I'm so sorry. I never meant to traumatize
You would have thought that
way.
that Biz would have been like, oh wait, this seems like really close to home. She just went neat.
Not one time was there the in character. What is your character afraid of? She was just like, "What are your biggest fears?" And I was like, "Well, our parents and scary men." I don't know what you mean.
Legitimate fears.
to be fair, I'm also terrified of your parents. So, and scary men.
That's pretty universal.
Yeah,
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I do have a looking back funny moment.
yeah.
Which was awkward as fuck and a little bit like, ooh. Kermit confronted Quinner about a rumor almost immediately.
Yeah, there was okay. So when we first started this, we all had to like fill out like basically like 2 truths and a lie, but it was 2 lies and a truth, right? And it was so Biz could like sow suspicion amongst us. We dropped that like 5 sessions in, but
Oh, yeah.
the funny part was literally 2 sessions in. One of Quinner's, because he was going to be like the Rat King and a little grimy boy, was that he was a were-rat. And I forget what like
It was like you have to confront the darkness within you from Madame Marie.
yeah, and then Kermit just wheels on Quinner. Darkness within you, huh? You want to talk about that? And Quinner's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Kermit
Yeah,
had a
that's great.
gambling problem.
Yeah.
I had that one.
That was real.
Yeah, I
What
know.
did you set up for
We all
Oakley?
had a
Because I gave you the
gambling problem.
biggest
we all
answers
learned real
ever.
quick. If we didn't have one before, we developed one.
There was one where he was like he didn't believe in magic, and I still hadn't decided if that was real or not.
We're a full spellcasting
Exactly. That's why I was like, "That this is a great one."
class. Stuff just happens every
Maybe
time I
he
play Magic.
just thought it was like the power of his charisma.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
freak coincidence.
He's a bard.
Yeah, just freak coincidence.
Goes to magic school to
He's a
prove
con
yourself
man.
wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no, if I go to school, I'll learn it's right. You go, no, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
May as well keep doing it.
I'm going to school to show people that this is all fake.
One of the best bard spells is just fucking insulting somebody so
Or
hard.
their head explodes. Yeah.
Accidentally become the Zach Baggins of
Yep.
bards
Yep.
by proving yourself wrong.
Oh,
Ian McGuire.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
I
was your scariest and funniest thing?
so there were several scary moments that were
Okay.
that were intense.
Mhm.
Though I think the one that I remember the most exactly, just sitting in, was after y'all had gone through the manor and had seen some shit.
Yep.
Barnabas decides to push a guy in a hole.
That was actually terrifying.
Dude,
Yeah.
fuck Charles.
Charles.
It was a rock golem, let's be
Yeah.
real.
I loved that Charles, the annoying rock kid from my memories,
That was also a funny moment.
Yeah.
turned out to be Charles,
The annoying teddy bear.
the annoying teddy bear. And it was so well foreshadowed.
Yep.
It was great.
I just love that like both of our characters were so done at that point. They were like, you know what? Jumping into this grave can't be worse than what we're doing. So here we go. Yeet.
Yeah, y'all had already seen so many things that were just like, well, this seems like the wrong place to be, but so does the last one and probably the
before,
next one.
and the
and
next one. And
it's not going well, and it just seemed like this was not going to end well for
Yep.
anybody when you do this.
Yep.
But it also didn't feel like the wrong decision. So it was so wild to be like, okay, what kind of hell are y'all in wait
Yep.
for here?
And it
All
didn't
of the
end
hell.
well. I got
Nope.
pushed into the hole.
Well, we've got a few more questions.
what was the
here.
funny one?
Oh, well, the funny one, I piggybacked a little bit off of
Yep.
you is that
Not getting off the hook for me,
there
Nick. I
might
got
be-
you.
there might be another one. I'll say a different funny one because it was pretty nice for me personally. It was when y'all decided to just shake down a random animal you saw You were like, tell me everything about you. I need information.
And this was the rat literally from the hardest neighborhood in Brooklyn. Like, he did not give a singular fuck.
It's like, you gonna kill me? Do it.
Then, you pussy. Like,
Well, you think you are.
the worst part, and I told Biz this the next day, is I was looking at my character sheet. Quinter literally has animal friendship prepared at all times. He literally could have spent a first level spell slot and been like lifelong friends with this rat, and instead was just like, I'm gonna fucking eat you. I swear to God.
Y'all were threatened. Y'all were like, we're scared. We don't know where we're at.
We were so pressed. We were so pressed at that point.
Oh, God.
We were in an
God.
endless tunnel behind a painting door that disappeared.
Yup.
Yeah, it was a spicy situation.
We had literally heard both Gertie and Oakley scream in different parts of the house.
That was great.
Little did we know that Gertie was currently slurking a mimic at that exact moment.
Yeah,
Lunch.
Slunching, sorry.
you got to get the vernacular right.
Yep.
Have you slunched today?
Lunch.
Listeners, don't forget. Make sure to slunch regularly.
Make sure to
Make sure to like and
slunch that like
subscribe.
button.
Slunch that
Very
like
true.
button and slunch the subscribe.
Yeah.
And slunch this with your friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
So much.
Always slunch with your friends.
Never slunch alone.
Never slunch alone.
When you're slunching for the first time, be sure to have somebody there with you to ensure that you slunge properly and safely.
Yep. And make sure you lubricate your throat before slunching.
Aftercare is always important too.
After slunch.
After slunch.
After slunch.
But have you heard of second slunch?
Secondhand slunch?
Oh, fuck.
What about slunchies?
Sloppy
Oh,
slunches.
no. Stop. Okay.
Okay, we're back.
I need a second T-shirt that says slunch, but it's a slushy, but it's not a slushy.
I have so many t-shirt ideas.
I
It's a
don't.
slushy, but with mimic eyes on it.
I don't know that we
I
should
have
like
one of
have
them.
a physical anything. It should just be the word slunch.
It should be like slouching in the middle too.
Yes.
That has
Slunch
the
t-shirt
definition
design
on the
incoming
back.
tonight.
Yep.
No, we can't define it. It has to be an abstract concept.
Definition undefinable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can
A
have
feeling,
no
not-
context on it. It's just slunch on the front and the little bitty like purple
Several
button
examples.
logo on the back.
Yeah.
Several
Examples.
I slunch, you
QR
slunch,
code on the
we
podcast.
slunch, we all slunch.
So you'll know how to use it in a sentence, but you will not be sure of its meaning.
I
All
slunch.
slunch. All slunch.
He, she, we, slunch, slunchology.
Slunchology.
Those guys always saying the craziest stuff. Well, we hope you enjoyed listening to our special Terror Talk episode. We're going to continue to make wrap-up episodes like this when we finish our campaign, so look out for things like this in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube for more, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Notoriously Poor Choices. Thank you all again for listening, and as always, bye-bye.